Meta Platforms Incorporated, the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, has removed 63,000 accounts associated with scam group known as Yahoo Boys in Nigeria. The company said accounts deleted over the past few weeks were used for financial scams, sextortion, and distributing blackmail scripts. Meta reported that a smaller network of 2,500 accounts linked to around 20 individuals, primarily targeting adult men in the United States using fake identities, were identified and disabled through a combination of advanced technical signals. The activity of scammers known as Yahoo Boys, who use social media and specialize in different types of scams, are negatively affecting the image of Nigeria and Nigerians globally, despite efforts by a government using anti-graft agencies to checkmate their activities. The recent deleting of accounts of Nigerians on Meta platforms is a reminder on the need for action to stem the tide. The need for a more coordinated effort in reducing the risk of cyber threats in Nigeria is the focus of Nigeria Today. Thanks for joining us. I am Eucharia Clinton. Joining us in the studio tonight is Haniel Jafaru. He's an IT and cyber security expert. It's good to have you in Nigeria Today.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Also joining us in the studio is Rhoda Sados. She's a lawyer and the Deputy Director, Political, Civic, Ethics and Values Department of the National Orientation Agency. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have a woman here.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I would have said, let me start with ladies first, but let me start with Haniel here. Now, how will you describe the deleting of 63,000 social media accounts or Facebook accounts of Nigerians, from the Meta platforms?
Okay, so Nigerians tend to have that active engagement on social media platforms, and we are among the highest users in the world. So it's not as though that number is minute compared to the numbers of persons that are actively using social media for the positive gains. But notwithstanding, as we've seen, as it was reported, 63,000 were linked to few individuals, not as though that it was 68% that owns this. It was 63,000 persons that owns the 63,000 accounts.
Yeah.
So that in fact, the report that brought about the this deleting can be traced back to the 2016 general election of the United States, where over 2,000 accounts were created to carry out what is today known as influence operation. And the aim for those 2,000 accounts was to influence the narrative within the social media space, so that persons within that space would be manipulated or in a way convicted to carry out specific actions, even against their will, because the content that will be flying around the social space or the social network space would be content that were against a particular candidate. Then it was the US general election. So the content were against a particular candidate and the content were for a particular candidate, and that influenced the election. So after that, the US intelligence began to look at how they can use to mitigate situations like that. And one of what came out as a result of that discussion was for social media platforms to begin to bring forth solutions like this. So Meta, which is the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, came up with the adversarial threat report, which aimed at identifying potential threats to within the social media space, especially on their platforms. And that's what brought about the deleting. And we should also take note of the fact that even though it was reported that the 63,000 were as a result of this report for the first quarter, my review on the report showed that the Nigerian data was not captured. Probably it was maybe the second quarter report, not the first quarter report. But the general perspective is that it was the first quarter report.
So in other words, what you're trying to say now is that some of these accounts are duplications.
Yes, true.
Okay.
They are largely duplications. Because if you want to look at it, there is a Russian group that is also carrying out this act. That's what they do, and they're not much. But the numbers of atrocity they carry out using these social media accounts, creating as many as they can create, so that they can control the narrative, it's enormous and something we can't quantify. So
we are not alone in this cyber crime.
No. We're just
yeah, of course, we are not alone. It's not peculiar to Nigerians alone. But however, the deleting of these accounts, Rhoda, what will it do to the image of Nigeria? Because it was deleted because of scam associated with scammers.
Yeah.
So
scammers.
What will it do to the Nigerian?
Of course, thank you very much. In as much as we all agree that the 63,000 accounts may not necessarily be all from Nigeria, but we will also not run away from the fact that we have been grappling with the issue of internet fraud. And that is why we have the Cybercrime Act of 2015 as amended. And of course, you know that anything that has to do with the name Nigeria, tingles the ears. Especially if you go out, especially if you are traveling, if you are an international traveler or you reside abroad. Anytime Nigeria is mentioned, of course, people associate Nigeria with, fraud. So I think
not all the time.
Not all the time. No, sometimes, not most times.
I like that.
Yeah, sometimes. But what I want to say is that, of course, it's 63,000. It is good that. Like the expert here have said, for us to know the number that is associated with Nigeria, because the 63,000, I don't want to believe that it's Nigeria. And like he said, I don't want to believe that it's 63,000 Nigerians that are involved in.
No, what he said is that it's duplication.
Definitely, I'm just validating what he has just said. Okay. So, of course, it will affect us in a way negatively. But I also want to believe that Nigerians too are abroad and at home. We are also noted for good work. Our youth are doing exploits, positively abroad. And even in the arena of the football and science and medicine, you go abroad, you hear Nigerians are doing exploits in these regards. So in as much as we cannot run away from the fact that it may put some kind of stain on us, but on a whole we should not despair, because the larger picture of Nigeria is not the 63,000 issue. But we are doing well, except that sometimes we don't speak positively about Nigeria. Even Nigerians, even the Nigerian press mostly will not speak positively about what exploits and what gains we are achieving, but rather, for some reasons, dwell on the negative and then maybe blow it out of proportion. But in as much as we agree that somehow, but it's not peculiar to Nigeria alone. And I will always maintain that crime is not environment specific. Crime is a global thing, and we are doing well, though we have our own challenges, but it's not as if the government and the good people of Nigeria are not doing anything about it. But I think we are moving forward, the reports notwithstanding. Okay.
Now, back to you, Haniel. Having said that, I know we've mentioned some of the threats there, but tell us, what are the major cyber threats that is confronting us as a country?
Okay, so there are different categories actually, because if you want to look at cyber threats, you can look at it from an organizational standpoint. We can look at it from individual standpoint, and we can also look at it from the public sector standpoint. And I'll just pick a couple of them from each sector, from each standpoint. So from an individual standpoint, majority of the threats that we are exposed to would be social media account takeovers, where you have your WhatsApp, someone takes over your WhatsApp, or you have your Facebook account, someone takes over your Facebook account, or identity theft, where someone takes over your identity and uses your identity to carry out a crime. So you become you become one that have carried out a crime by proxy, because it was your details that was used to carry out that account, that attack. So that's from individual perspective. Then if you look at it from the private sector perspective, which is government, which is companies, one of the major threats that has lingered so much, not in national theme, but a global situation, is the ransomware attack, where, because organizations and companies make use of data, and those data can in a way can be encrypted, and you being the owner and the custodian of data, in fact, just like it's synonymous to kidnapping. In the regular form of kidnapping, you kidnap someone and you would ask for ransom for the person who would be released. But this one, it's not the person that has been kidnapped, it's the company's data that is being in a way kidnapped, because you are seeing the data but you can't have access to it. And it was encrypted, so you would need to pay certain amount of money for it to be released, for the data to be decrypted, for you to be able to use your data. But the major challenge with this ransomware is the fact that it's now becoming a business model, whereby the person that is developing the ransomware is different from the person that is distributing the ransomware. The person that is distributing, the developer is different from the vendor is different from the insider who works in the company. And on the long run, you'll find out that there is now a percentage sharing once the fund has been paid for the ransom and the data has been decrypted for the organization to make use of the data. You find out that everyone has a cut in that. So it's like a business. Then from the government perspective, a whole lot of crime are happening at that end, and the major crime I would look at from the cyberspace is misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, which is generally known as the influence operation. And even though it's a form of crime that is relatively not new, but the term influence operation is relatively new, but it's something that the government has been battling with, because information can come out on the social space now and they say that it is the government that releases the information. Meanwhile, the government knows nothing about it. So it's a huge concern, and it's something I think we should begin to look at possibility of mitigating and addressing.
Thank you very much. We'll take a short break now and listen to some Nigerians on reducing cyber threat in Nigeria, put together by Suleiman Abdul Wahab. Don't go away.
Yahoo, we believe Yahoo, we all know now, is the mostly is found among young people. They are into the internet, let me say, frauding, you understand? Because they are fraudsters. They scam people of their money. They lie to you. Some of them use Facebook accounts. There are so many ways they usually do in scamming people. Some they may even call you and tell you should do this, do this, do this. After doing this, before you know, maybe they will send you one OTP. You understand? Before you know, your money has been transferred, maybe from your account, your email accounts have been hacked. Your bank accounts have been emptied. There are so many ways to do that.
I can never like Yahoo. My religion doesn't like it. My personality doesn't like it. Everything I stand for and I believe in doesn't like it. So I can never be in support of it, and I don't like it. Yahoo is more or less like what we call fraud. And fraud has been since time immemorial. But it's not as rampant as the way it is. I didn't meet Yahoo in my father's hand, so I can't do it. And my son cannot do it. You understand?
They should just eliminate so that other one will learn from it. Because the situation is getting worse. Killing innocent people in the name of making money is totally bad. So it's spoiling the name of the nation too. So that's my suggestion.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today. We are talking about reducing the risk of cyber threats in Nigeria. And of course, we have in the studio a gentleman and a lady. And we have some Nigerians there. Some said, no, I won't do it. It's not, it's bad, you know. Now, Rhoda, tell us, we know National Orientation Agency have been doing quite a lot of sensitization about it. So, you know, how do you think Nigeria can approach this challenge?
Well, approaching this challenge should not be a one strategy. We have to adopt various strategies, to this challenge. And of course, like in my own organization, what we've been doing, of course, you have heard from my own department, and we also have a department that is called behavior modification also. So that is what we have been doing. Sensitization is key, no matter what you do. Even if you want to, implement by enforcement, but you still have to create sensitization, and that is what we have been doing. And in my organization, National Orientation Agency, because we believe that we should catch them young, and so we have what is called integrity clubs in most secondary schools in Nigeria, across the 774 local governments in Nigeria. And we have also been partnering with other organizations like the ICPC, of course, to create awareness about, our core values and all of that. And we also have another intervention where we go to the NYSC, camps to deliver, lectures on, the implication of these vices to us as a nation. So we have been doing a lot, but of course, that attitudinal change is not something that you can get, but for us, we have been working, and we are still working, and we keep working. We keep talking to people. We keep also advocating that parents should also be very, interested in what their children are doing. I like what the gentleman said in the, public opinion, that his child cannot do that. That means he is going to look and make sure and ensure that his child, you observe his child and know what his child is up to part-time. So I think parents have a lot to do, and also religious organizations too have to do a lot. Yeah, you understand that most times you go to religious organizations, and then they are not really paying attention to what people are doing. A young person will come flaunting money without any known source of income, and then nobody is asking questions and all of that. So value reorientation is something that will take time. And I also want to quickly mention that in National Orientation Agency, under the leadership of Malam Larry Issa Onilu, who is our DG, we have also come up with a program called CLEAN. And this CLEAN is made to, target communities, and so how can we, tackle this lawlessness, crime reduction, education, and all of these issues that are, bedeviling us in society. We believe that going to the grassroots, going down to the micro level is the way to go. So we will keep doing our own bit, that is sensitization and reorientation, and we believe that other, organizations like the security and even the legal system will also, do their own part. And when we do that, I believe that we'll record some successes. And we want to call on, young people. If you are so smart that you can do internet fraud, then it means that you can use your knowledge to do something good.
Something positive.
Yes, something positive, yeah.
I agree with you on that. Now, Haniel, she said quite a lot that National Orientation Agency is doing. Now, as a security expert, do you think Nigeria is doing enough to bring perpetrators of cyber crime, to book?
Okay, as it stands now, they are doing way above other African countries. Okay. That's from the data that we have. Nigeria is the only country that have, not the only, among the 22% of African countries, that's the 54 African countries that have signed the Budapest cyber security convention. We are also among those that are actively engaging in ensuring that we implement the Geneva Convention on Cyber Crime. So that's huge, because we are also among those that have the Secured Electronic Evidence Act that tends to ensure that cybercrime issues can find expression in the court of law. So there are a lot of things that we've done. However, there are a whole lot more that needs to be done. A whole lot more. Starting with the fact that there is need for us to look at the root cause of this thing. And I've had to engage with some of these guys at a personal level, and to a large extent, you'll find out that some of these guys are in the rural area, and they are largely dashed by hard economic hardship, and that's the truth, and that's the simple truth. Most of them acquire this knowledge while in school, because they have the mindset, and they have the mindset that if I leave school, there is no possibility, there is no guarantee that I can get a job. And because I can't get a job, if I have a skill that I can learn now that will earn me something while in school, why not engage in it? So you find out that economic hardship that does not take away the fact that reorientation is possible and is necessary. There is need for parents to also ensure that they checkmate their children, what they do, how they earn their funds. There is need for the society to also be on the lookout for all that. Now, another thing we need to look out for is the fact that there is high need for capacity building. We need to build the capacity of our law enforcement agencies. If, for example, someone falls victim of cybercrime, can you actually walk to a police station and report your case? What would the police do? They may probably be laughing at you, because there is a unit actually. There is the the NPF, National Cybercrime Center, but it is still in its development stage. It has not formed to become that adult agency that can help in mitigating some of this. So there is need for capacity building for law enforcement agencies. Even our judges needs to be trained in this regard, because it's a new terminologies are coming forth within the cyberspace, cybercrime issues. And one of the recommendation of this convention, the Geneva Convention, is the establishment of a cybercrime court, which has not been largely done. So there is need for us to also look at the legal framework, developing legal framework, institutional legal framework that makes us to be able to checkmate this as a country. There's also need for us to cybercrime. One of the major challenges of cybercrime is attribution. I can be in Nigeria now and committing a crime in the US. I can be in the US and committing a crime in Nigeria. So there is no need for international collaboration and intelligence sharing. So we need to look at how we can collaborate with other countries in that regard and share intelligence so that we can apprehend some of these criminals.
No, Handiel, you mentioned something about hardship being part of the reason why some of these boys go into, just call it what it is, Yahoo. But then when the economy was also booming, there were also some of these Yahoo boys.
Yeah, but not as rampant as it is. Now there is even an academy for it. There's a school for it. If you go to National Cybercrime Center, there is an academy for it where people go to learn this thing as a skill. It's no longer, it's not something that is hidden. Then people do this, and they don't come out boldly with pride to tell you that this is what I do, but go to the south, go to the west and other parts of the country, you find the people coming out boldly with all level of authority that this is what I do. So you can't compare the level of involvement now compared to then. That's the truth. Okay,
just in 30 seconds, tell us how can maybe you that has an account, and somebody is trying to hack into it. How do you?
There's what's known as multi-factor authentication, which ensures that beyond you just having your username and password, OTP needs to be sent to you anytime someone needs to log into your account. So that OTP is the major concern. They can carry out what is known as social engineering attack on you, which is a human hack concept, and call you using either your phone, your bank, the bank narrative that I'm calling from your bank and all that. And that for most persons, those in the urban area, may be enlightening to prevent or to avoid sharing that information.
I will have to stop you here, Hania. I will have to stop you here because I know if I leave you, we'll go for another 3-4 minutes. Well, with that, we'll wrap up today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Hania Jafaru, an IT and cybersecurity expert. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution. And also to Rhoda Sados, a lawyer and a deputy director, National Orientation Agency. She's from the Department of Political, Civic Ethics and Values.
Thank you. I thought we have to do part 2.
Maybe some other time we'll do this part 2. And thank you for being part of the program. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.